going on?
There's a gray hair dude on the freaking camera.
That's probably one of the dogs. All right, we're back once again. Episode 5?
I think it's 5. 5.
Dude, it's so many. I'm losing count.
It's the third week. Here's some math for you, Janet. The third week, 2 a week.
We only put up one last week.
No, we didn't. We put one on Tuesday and on Friday.
We didn't put the one up on Friday, did we?
Yeah.
The one we filmed in my truck?
We did a different one. So we did, bear with me. We did the first one. Second one was how to get into archery. Third one was trad. Fourth one was we were behind the counter. We were over there. Then we were over here. Then we were then we did 4.
Okay.
We did 4, 100%.
Okay. I mean, I believe you.
We did the under the diker. We did the mule deer. We did the behind the counter. And we did the trad one.
Okay.
Welcome to episode
so
5.
We figured it out.
Yep,
Next
by
time
the
we're
end of
gonna
this
have a
week,
graph
it'll be 7.
and a spreadsheet. So 'tis the season. Let's talk about tack.
Total Archery Challenge.
If you've never done one, they're awesome. If you look at the Facebook groups and archery talking about it, you would think you were going to be trekking in Nepal for a weekend, not hiking around a ski resort in flip-flops. So yeah, we just kind of wanted to cut through some of the questions we've seen and give you some answers from our experience. Now, mind you, we are East Coasters. If you shoot a tack in the West Coast, I ain't never done one. I don't know. Maybe those are the sketchy Nepal-esque ones, but I doubt it. So yeah, Luke, what is your let's say top 3 things you need?
Oh, I believe there's only 3 things you need. And one of them for me...
Okay, not counting your bow.
Okay. So we like to make fun of the idea that you have to be, you have to have the best gear, the best everything. If you like geeking out about that stuff, great. Because we have portions of our life where we like to geek out about the gear, regardless of how much it actually impacts our experience. If you want to do tack, you do not need all this stuff that YouTube claims that you need. If we're talking 3 things aside from my bow, I would say the first one should be arrows, even though that was one of those things, just because if you know me, I have a tendency to forget my arrows when I go on long trips.
Yes, he does.
So I'm just going to double down on the arrows.
Yeah, I'm going to take 3 dozen.
I'm going to make sure, I don't need 3 dozen. I need to bring them. Yeah. if I have 3, that's fine. That's plenty.
Okay, first myth. We're going to get rid of this. Luke, how many arrows would you say you've gone through at a tack?
Well, how many tacks have we done?
You've done 2. I've done 9.
I've broken 1 arrow at a tack, and it was...
You tried to shoot the turkey in the head? Was it that one?
No, I nailed him.
Oh, okay.
There was one where I was trying to shoot through the V of a tree. You remember that?
Okay,
Because I was the only one who hadn't missed, and Cam and Rachel had missed. And I was like, I'm going to send this, and I shot the tree.
Smoked the tree, okay.
But it wasn't even my arrow, it was Cam's. So, anyway, I'm not a phenomenal shot. I don't want to say it's not that hard. If you work on your shot and you have a good shot, it's not that hard to shoot to 100. I guess I'll say that.
Yeah.
If you struggle at 20, you're going to struggle at 100.
Yeah, 20... so base the number of arrows you bring on yourself and your shooting ability, not what you read online. Now, my wife, for instance, I build her 3 dozen arrows at the beginning of the year, knowing they're basically sacrificial.
Yeah.
But we do 3 tacks a year, so she normally loses 6 or 7 over the course of a weekend, which is still really good. But, depending on the course, right? PA has gotten kind of a little toned down in my experience over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, seemed real toned down.
Crystal Mountain is an awesome one in Michigan because it's all sand. And if you miss the target, you can usually dig your arrow out of the sand. Let's go back to the 3 things. I totally forgot.
Yeah, and then I have a question for you after that.
Okay.
Actually, that question might be for those people who don't know, what is tack? Total Archery Challenge. What is that?
It's 3D on steroids. There's no score involved. It's the biggest fun shoot you've ever done. Yep. It's basically archery summer camp for bow nerds. We always end up with a big group of people. We camp out or get a house, and you shoot foam 3D animals from, I think the closest shot I've seen is like 21, 22, and the farthest is like 147, I think, was Crystal Mountain on the Moose last year.
And tack is very interesting because up until, well, from what I understand, I don't know the history of tack very well, but you have all these organizations in archery, right? The IBO, the ASA, you have NFAA, you have locally here OAA, you have all these organizations that are so, I mean, it's an organization based on competition. So there's a set of rules, there's classes, there's scores that you put in, there's rankings, there's rewards, sometimes there's payouts. Attendance for those is, and those are awesome. Don't get me wrong. I truly enjoy going to IBOs. Cam does well with ASAs. Joe goes to whatever he's able to make it to. You know, all that stuff. Competition is an awesome avenue, and I think it's probably essential for anything that you actually want to develop in. You need to compete because you need to fail to learn and grow, and I think that's huge. That being said, here's tack. No scores, no classes, no winners aside from the novelty shoots, and people are paying so much more money to go do this.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because you're not afraid to fail. Like Joe was saying, you'll get a lot of people will buy 3 dozen arrows.
Yeah.
And if that's how many you need to get through tack, and you're okay spending that, then it's a blast.
Oh, it's the most fun you're gonna have shooting a bow. As long as you know, if you get a good group of friends, and honestly, here's the thing, another Total Archery Challenge pro tip. If you come with just yourself or you and a buddy, when it's your time to shoot, walk up a little bit early and talk to the people around you, if that's your thing. If you want to do it alone, that's great. It's fine, whatever you want to do. But I have met, like, I've had odd knock times, right? So me and my wife have been thrown, you know, basically we would end up shooting alone. But I've always, like, I'm a social butterfly, so I try to, like, make friends. And I've shot with some awesome people that still to this day I call friends, right? Like, I see them randomly, you know, at a Total Archery Challenge event. But, you know, you end up having fun shooting with them all day. You know, you can get some tips from them. You can give them some tips. It just makes for a fun day.
Yeah, see their setups.
Yeah. Because you see a lot of cool stuff at the Total Archery Challenge that you don't see at your local stuff. Like, you'll see everything from the dude with his first Bear Adapt Walmart arrows and a whisker biscuit and a 3-pin.
You'll see trad bows.
You'll see, I've seen trad bows.
Trad bows there.
Those guys usually carry a lot of arrows.
Yeah.
But like all the way up to the latest, greatest, every piece of equipment you want to see is gonna be at a Total Archery Challenge.
Yeah. You see people shooting like cheaper old bows, completely lights out.
Yeah.
You see people with $3,000 to $4,000 Matthews setups that can't hit anything.
Yeah, and then everything
in between.
Yeah,
it's, you know, it's just a cool thing, and I'm not making fun of the people who have the nice Matthews. If that's what you want to do, is just spend a bunch of money and geek out about gear, then I'm there with certain things too.
Yeah, I mean, I know a guy that had to buy a Sitka bino harness. Didn't even have binoculars. He just used it to carry trail mix the first year at Total Archery Challenge.
Bringing me to my list of three things.
Oh, dude, way to bring it back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, number one, essential. This is something that me and Joe did as a joke for the very first tack that we went to, because everybody's like buying like crispy boots and stuff. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've ever backpacked, hunted in your life, or hiked through the woods. If other people go on there, it's not, I don't know, if there's a trail, you don't have to. Yeah. Joe did Crystal Mountain and barefoot. Anyway, my number one is Chacos, but I don't have Chacos.
You have the knockoff Chacos.
Yeah, I couldn't afford
the
Chacos. Not Chacos.
Yeah.
I have sandals.
Yeah.
The one old guy that I saw at Tennessee last year called them Jerusalem Cruisers, which is my favorite term for them.
Yeah. So basically, let's just say comfortable footwear.
And yeah, I mean, I like sandals because they're waterproof And guess what? My feet are waterproof. A lot of people don't realize that about their feet, but they can actually take quite a beating and they're waterproof.
Yeah. Oh yeah, mine took a beating in
and
Tennessee.
They heal.
Yeah.
They heal when you damage them. So
I cut the bejesus out of my feet at Tennessee in sandals.
how are they now?
It's fun.
Fine.
Yeah.
All right, so first one is sandals. That started out as a joke, but actually now it is my favorite because I'm so much more mobile. I don't have to worry about getting wet. If I cut them, I cut them. I have pretty tough feet just from being, as Jason Cameron would say, a little something Indian.
He's a little native.
So second thing, water is huge. You got to stay hydrated while you're there, especially because, however that looks to you. I just carry a water bottle with me. There's refill stations halfway. If you have 2 water bottles for yourself, that's ultimately 4 fill-ups per course because you can get halfway, drink them both, fill them up at the halfway, drink them both. And that's a lot more water than most people would normally drink. So just something, it doesn't have to be a Camelback. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have all the fancy hydration things, although they help. Those electrolyte drink mixes do help. Unnecessary.
Yeah.
Third thing would be, so the first year I showed up, I did not come from the gun world, so I don't know anything about good glass. I had a bad set of binos, but like Joe just called me out for, I saw a Sitka bino harness. I didn't use binos very well. I didn't know how to operate them very well. I didn't use but I needed that Sitka bino harness. So I bought one, $160 later. Fantastic, by the way, Mystery Ranch. I still love it to this day.
It was Mystery Ranch in Sitka. Okay.
In Sitka, yeah, it wasn't the Sitka one. I like that one too. Anyway, so that caused me to bring my binos with me. 2 or 3 targets later, I realized my binos were crap. I could actually see better with my naked eye, so I turned my bino pouch into a holster for trail mix.
Yeah.
And I became a lot more popular with the group that we were at.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So those are my 3 things. Pretty minimal, right? And 2 of them are sarcastic.
Yeah. The sandals thing, if your feet can't handle it, definitely don't wear sandals if you're not used to wearing sandals all day hiking like that.
We're not recommending that.
Yeah, no. If your ankles can't take it, I mean, I have crispy boots. I love my crispy boots. I don't like them in the heat like that. When we were in the Indiana, Kentucky shoot last year, it was 97 degrees and 100 and some percent. It was horrible. It was one of the guys in our group damn near had a heat stroke in the field. So just wear comfortable shoes, comfortable clothes, trail runners. If you need a little more support, some hikers. You don't have to get too crazy. Comfy clothes, something for the sun. If you burn easy, if you're, a little fair complected, a little sunblock. Chapstick was huge. But as far as the shooting goes, man, it's tough. Don't get me wrong.
It's tough, yeah.
But if you know yourself, you have. Okay, so I'm gonna do my 3 real quick. All right.
I want to change mine. Go ahead.
All right. So number 1 for me,
serious.
You have your bow, you have your arrows, all that stuff, right? You got all that. Number 1, water and hydration, right? I work outside all summer, and I drink a lot of water out in the heat. And especially if you're not used to being out in that heat, you can really wreck your day without some hydration.
Oh, yeah.
I carry the little Yeti that you can put ice in and they'll stay cold all day. And then, liquid IV or, whatever hydration makes you like. Number 2 for me is snacks. Luke likes the trail mix, whatever you're into, just have something to keep that energy level up as the day goes on. So I want to say most courses are somewhere between 2 and 4 miles on the stuff that we've shot. So you're out there, 4 to 6 hours, depending on how slow it is. So, have peanut butter and jellies. We always, try to pack one of those and then a couple bars, whatever snacks you like, right? And then number 3 is having your sight figured out. Leveling your axes and having a good sight tape. Now, I do know somebody who had his friend sight his bow in for him and showed up at TAC. I brought his bow there for him, sighted it in, handed it to him. He went to the practice range. He was a tape off and shot and lost 1 arrow. So but that's the exception, right? If you don't have the confidence to know how to set all that stuff up properly, Spend some time with your sight tape at distance, and then shooting up and downhill if you can. If you live somewhere that you can do that.
Whoever that friend is sounds like a really good-looking guy.
He's super good looking. Strongest guy in Middlefield.
Jeez.
So yeah, that would be my 3, right?
So you said sight tape, snacks, and water.
Yeah.
One thing that we have not mentioned that is incredibly handy, I bring this every year, and everybody doesn't need this. Like me and Cam usually travel together and everything, and I'll carry a backpack. That'll be all of our waters. It'll be both of our arrows, because nobody likes shooting with a quiver on unless it's equivalizer, then sweet.
That's how I roll.
If that's the case, then you don't need to worry about throwing them on your back, but nobody wants a quiver on there. It's not as much hiking as it used to be, but anything where there's a lot of hiking, you don't really want a quiver stool, and you don't really want a hip quiver. Now, I see people do that, and cool. If you're cool with that, then great, but just there's a couple steeper sections where if you're doing a hip quiver, just the clanking around and all that stuff, it's just nice. I literally had a Walmart backpack that I bought specifically for tack. It was like $20.
A PVC tube with some duct tape on it.
Yeah, Charlotte pipe PVC. I actually had the bottom, I just masking tape, not even duct tape.
Yeah.
The bottom of a can of chew on the bottom just so the arrows didn't fall out. And I carried me and Cam's arrows with that.
Yeah. A small pack is good. Yeah.
That pack lasted a long time. I actually melted one of the straps because I set it next to something hot. It didn't even break from use. It held up well.
Okay. Yeah, pack is. Yeah, that's a good one. I like a pack.
So what do you think?
Number 4, a cooler in the back of your vehicle for afterwards, right? So nothing is as good as the cold beverage of your choice after that event. After you've hiked all day, you're sweaty, you're gross. I highly recommend it. And here's a little cheat code. If you're nice to the vendors, some of those vendors are known to have coolers full of ice and cold beverages at their tents if you're nice to them.
See,
just FYI.
Joe is Joe, so if you try this and it doesn't go well for you, Joe has this charisma that he can get into places like that. So don't,
way of talking to people.
Say if I tried everything Joe did or get out of like the speeding tickets Joe tried to get out of, I feel like I'd end up arrested. So if you have that gift,
At least like me.
Yeah, he's never met a stranger. He'll just like wander in, and there's been times where
I'm a friendly guy.
Me and Joe and my father went to PA for the Great Outdoor Show or whatever.
Harrisburg, yeah.
Joe knows everybody, like every single person I've ever seen outside of Middlefield. Joe knows them, or they know Joe more likely. And we're walking through Harrisburg, and somebody from like the Hobie canoe booth or whatever.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting this huge conversation. I'm pretty sure Joe walked away with some free stuff.
I had some swag, yeah. Well, I bought my kayak from them for fishing tournaments too.
It's just, anyway. So I guess that's my point with that, is everybody remembers Joe. Joe's a very personable person.
Here's the moral of the story: be nice to people.
And he makes the most out of tack.
Yeah.
Like, because of his personality, he gets into places and gets access and opportunities to do things like.
Yeah.
Like one time we had an encounter with Dudley.
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
Yeah.
So,
John's a good dude.
Yeah, we got tattoos.
Oh yeah. Well, we tattooed each other.
Yeah. I'm not even sure the entire reason. I think that was in the same breath as like putting on sandals.
Yeah, we were gonna wear sandals, but we needed like a silly foot tattoo to go with the sandals.
So we each got I tattooed his foot with a knock on, and he did mine
with a backwards knock on accident.
Yeah, he's never tattooed before. So
that was like the first thing Dudley noticed. He's like, "It's freaking backwards." I'm like, yeah, well.
So yeah, if it was me, I might not have said anything. I might have just like stuck my foot near him,
just waiting for him to notice.
Joe's no problem, just going right up, and then it was a funny thing. But yeah, Joe, if you're somebody like Joe, tack is like a playground.
Yeah.
And I guess it is for me too. I just, as far as he was talking about with the beer thing.
Yeah, cold beverages, dude. I just said nothing about beer. Some places you're not allowed to have beer at. You just have beverages without alcohol in them at all.
Oh.
But yeah, so all right, we'll get fifth thing: positive mental attitude. Right? Have fun. Like we normally will have a bet between our group, right? It's like, what was it? If you missed the target, it was $1 or $5 or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a decent amount of money. So we did 5 an arrow. Every arrow you missed was 5 towards the pot.
Yeah, so basically at the end of the weekend, you take all that money rounded up, and whoever wins it has to shoot it at novelty shoots, right? So just have fun with it, man. TAC, just please don't go to TAC and treat it like an ASA or an IBO where you freak out and have a hissy fit if you shank a shot into a rock. Like, TAC is fun. Everybody that I've ever met there has been awesome. Like every group of people, I've never run into like any negativity at TAC, honestly. Like it's been such a good experience. If you live somewhere where you can get to one, please go. Like it's really hard to get registered. I understand that, but it is worth it to like spend the time, set up a couple laptops. It looks like you're trying to rob a bank when you're trying to get registered. I understand that.
Yeah, last year we had, I think, 5 just in this building, 5 laptops running.
Yeah, trying to get in. Yeah.
And then Joe's wife,
3 at home.
Yeah, was like their own thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you can get in, man, and here's the thing, man. Like the guys that run TAC, I think his name's Rob. If you don't get exactly what you want, just send them an email. Don't go online and bash them about how sign up is a pain in the ass, blah, blah, blah. They got to do this. Let's do it this way. I have this better way to do it. Trust me, you don't have a better way to do it. They're doing their best with what they have. Send them a nice email. Hey, man, my group got split up. Is there any way we can shoot together? And don't hound him every day. He'll get back to you. I promise you, he will get back to you. When he gets back to you, he will more than likely say, yeah, everybody move to this time slot. There you go. Have a great time. So, like, just don't be quick to bash him just because you failed to get registered properly. You know? And here's the thing. If you get split up, go meet new people.
I like doing
Yeah,
that.
you got stuck doing
That's my thing. It's not even get stuck. I've always done that. Like, I love the people that we go with.
Yeah.
And when we're camping or at the house, I love spending time with them. I love going with a random group of people. It's like one of my favorite, just meeting. I'm good with smaller crowds. Like, I'll just, like, be friends with, whatever. Anyway. But it's cool. Like Joe was saying, it's not ASA, it's not IBO. Even then, most archers are very cool, very humble, very understanding. I mean, I've almost never had an interaction with somebody that I'm like, no, this guy's a, prick. That actually, I don't think I've ever had that shooting, whether it was TAC or IBO. Never done ASA.
That's why.
That could be. I don't know. I've never done it.
Yeah, me neither.
But
Just local shit.
Archery people are super easygoing.
Yeah.
And super welcoming to beginners.
Yes.
Which leads me to this question. You said 146?
Yeah.
Do you have to be able to shoot out to 146 yards to do a TAC?
Yeah, I guess we should have mentioned that. No, you
But
don't.
at least 100, right?
No.
What about like 60?
No. Gabe, the first year he went, we took a small child with us. Gabriel Davis. You will meet him in future videos. I want to say that
it's a good day.
Yeah,
That's what he was.
He was a really small child the first year he went. I think he was pulling 28 pounds.
Yeah.
He shot every target from 40 yards or less.
Yep.
So you don't have to shoot far. Like, granted, it's fun. Okay, so another tip. If you're an adult, you're pulling real weight, and you have a 5-pin sight. Luke, how could I get my 5-pin sight to get me closer at 100?
My brain has always worked this way because I've grew up with pins. That people call it pin stacking. I never thought about it like that. That is, I mean, look up a video on pin stacking. That's what it is. That's what people call it. But you get a feel for your pins, right? This is your pins, by the way. This is, I'm not just having arthritis.
Spirit fingers.
Right. So if you see it's exponential is the growth of the distance between the pins. So that means it's not a static distance between your pins, but you can get a pretty good idea before you draw back. And that's huge. Before you draw back.
Just hold it out there in front of you.
Yeah, and just say, my bubble looks like if I were to have a 90-yard pin or an 80-yard pin. it looks like it'd be about the bubble. Okay, try that on the practice range, or please, if you try it at home first, and hold it above the target. You can use the top of your level as a sixth pin.
Yeah.
You could use the bottom of your scope housing.
Yep.
You can get creative, and you don't need to be able to shoot.
Yeah. Was it
100 plus?
It was last year. Gabe shooting PA. I think it's prime course, the Buffalo or Moose. It was like 130, and he was only good. I think he had like 110 in his setup, and luckily I had another person's bow there that was similar specs, and was able to look at her tape distance on everything, and hold it up and look. And I'm like, well, Gabe, I think if you aim at the ski lift cable, you'll drop into the Moose. And he hit it 2 times in a row.
Yeah, you in your group, if you have one person that knows how to pin stack, that's enough.
Yeah.
Because he can, just like Joe said, you just, hey, look at that, boom.
Yeah.
Take your local bow technicians, pay for their trip, their stay.
Especially if you're local. No.
Go out to steak dinners every night because you're so grateful that they're with you. I've been to 3 tacks. I've been to 3. That just reminded me. We were talking about not having to shoot very far. I think TAC's amazing. I think you should absolutely go at least once in your life. Mm-hmm. When I went to Pennsylvania 3 years ago versus last year, it was
night and day different.
It was, twice as, I don't want to say twice as lame, but half as exciting. Yeah. It was like we had, I think over the course of the weekend, the first time I went 3 years ago, there was like 600 to 800 plus. And we did 4 courses, or maybe 3.
One of those 2 is like not TAC's fault. We did RMEF course, which has the big elk on it the first year. Yeah. So they have more. There was like probably 200 or 300 yard shots on that course that we didn't do that course again the next year. So
even the Sitkas and the primes, there was way less far shots, which is the entire. And actually, there was way less big targets. Mm-hmm. Like when I said big, I'm talking about Hogzilla, the moose, the
mountain goat.
Mountain goat's a big one. Elk, full-size elk. I don't know why I'm not thinking properly, but everything was like ram size or smaller, which like the ram size is cool, but there was a ton of little ones. Like there was way too many, like little ones. It's like, those are so cheap. I could buy those and set them up in my backyard at 100 yards or at 60. Yeah. You know, for me, TAC is long distance, big targets, because that's the stuff that we don't have access to property-wise or money-wise. Yeah. Like they do that stuff, so we can go pay for that.
Yeah, I can't afford a lot of $2,000 targets.
Yeah, in my opinion, I'm probably not looking at going again this year, just because if I want to shoot 70 and in, I can do that at my house, and I have plenty of smaller targets. That being said, do I still think it's worth going to once if you've never been there? Absolutely, because TAC is more than the course.
Yeah, I'm going to 3.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it's more than just that aspect of it. Yeah. I like to go there to focus on my shot more than anything, because it's a lot of people. So that's what I go there for, is to test my shot and to
try to win a truck.
Yeah, to win. That's what I really wanted to do last year. They had other plans. But yeah, it's a different avenue to shoot your bow. Yeah. Some people absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's become like elk hunt LARP kind of thing. You know, like the little elk hunting.
That's a great way to put it.
But you know, I make fun of those guys. But here's the thing: if I had an elk hunt out west coming up, and I didn't have another way to test my gear, that's a great way to do it. And then 2 of those bastards had all their crap on, and it started pouring rain. What did they do? They literally took their packs out, set up a tarp, and had like a little stove cooking Mountain House or something like that. And then I was a little bit jealous. So
that's too cool.
I'm gonna judge you, but it's only out of ignorance, I guess.
Yeah, you can make it what you want. Like I make fun of people for bringing that much gear, but those people that did that,
they
made me look like an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like, that's cool.
Like I'm soaked to the bone, and
you guys are prepared.
Yeah, so you know, whatever you want to do, have fun with it, man. It's not, you know, we've taken, I think the first year Gabe went, he was 9, or was he 10? And then Maria was like 6 or 7.
Oh, that's right.
When Maria shot with us. Mm-hmm. So
one of the people, you'll see Gabe and you'll see his father Ben. They're really into it. They shoot all the time. Then his wife and his two of his daughters doesn't shoot as much. So it's like he'll come for 4 days, and then at the last day they'll meet up
and they'll shoot together.
Yeah, and Macario and Miranda, like they figure out how much shooting they want to do and how much. It is also a vacation where I like to do it to spend time with Joe and Cam and Rachel outside of work.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that it's cool about, and it's not like going to like Lancaster or something where
it's super intense and you're worried about your score. You can't stay up late because you're, worried about getting some Z's. Tack, it's like, I feel like after the first day of tack, it's like, how hungover can I be and still shoot good? I feel like that's my challenge. That's my scoring system. So, figure out what's fun for you. Some of those days were rough, but they were fun. Like I have never not had fun at tack. Like
I will say that. Yeah.
It's good. Like, I don't know. It's like, I'm sure we didn't answer all the questions that we thought of at Cinda's today, but like, don't be intimidated by what you read on there. That was kind of the whole point of us doing this.
Wear sandals, shoot 40 yards.
Have fun.
That's the thing too, is we don't see this aspect as much, but the vendor village is pretty cool. I mean, that's our life, that's our livelihood, so we, it's nothing new to us, but for you guys to be able to see all those products.
Shoot every bow basically is there normally. And
it's way more fun for the manufacturers than like the ATA or any industry trade shows. So they typically send the people who are, like higher up. Yeah. And like I remember talking to Jeremy from, he was like, no, I get to go to Tennessee. Like they're more excited to talk to the end user. Yeah, like Bill from Iron Will was a PA last year before. I can't remember. I wish I could remember his name. The gentleman that owns Evolution Outdoors that does the Ibex hinge and the broadheads. Yeah. Super nice guy. I talked to him for a long time about the hinge. Nobody's pushy. Like it's not like you go to like we were talking about the Harrisburg gun show. Oh, can you step into my booth? No, man. Everybody's just there for a good time and like super helpful. With John and Sharon are both there in the tent. Like some of the greatest people. If it's not super busy, they're always willing to talk to you and answer questions. Could you imagine being John Dudley at TAC? I don't want to be. I know. I asked him a question in regards to my student, and then immediately, as he's talking to me with an incredibly long response. Yeah, like well thought people out. People are thoughtful. Yes. Yeah. People are getting in line behind me. Yeah, it's the weirdest. And he's giving all of them time. Like if he has time. I've also seen him say, "Okay, after." Yeah. Could you imagine? No. That's a good dude if he's willing to do all that stuff. We had a great encounter in the bathroom in Michigan last year. I heard about that. Yeah, so it's always entertaining. Yeah, the guys followed him in the. He's just, who else is that tall and wears Air Force Ones? But yeah, like from what I've heard, like PA this year they'll be. Dudley will be there. I'm pretty sure Josh Jones and like Tim Connor will be there from the YouTube world, and Greg Poole and Josh Bomar. Like, there are a lot of like industry people there that, you've followed or watched or like, if you have questions for, I'm sure they would be willing to speak with you. And, don't be shy. Go say hi. Be respectful of their time. If they're in the middle of talking to one person, make another lap, come back later. There will be downtime. Probably like last year, one of my favorite interactions I had, I met Randy Cooling at the Safari Tough booth. And there's not a lot of traditional people there. And I don't think anybody knew who he was. Now, this guy has hunted all over the world and killed damn near everything with a recurve. Like, he has hunting stories that could keep you busy for a month. Super nice guy. I sat down and talked to him for, I don't know, probably an hour or so. One of the nicest guys in the world. So if you see Randy, tell him what's up, say hi, have him tell you a hunting story. If you have been to TAC before, this is your reminder to remember all of those things that you regretted not doing beforehand.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's never that time until it's that time, and all of a sudden, like me, I had Joe's sight in my bow.
Yeah.
I can manage that. Most people can't.
Yeah. Like if your bow.
And that's not just me. I trusted Joe. Like I couldn't have just handed that to anybody. Joe's familiar with how all that stuff works. So like when you don't prepare, you suffer the entire weekend, and nobody wants to be in a group where you keep blowing up arrows and getting frustrated and stuff. Like you take away from the group's experience, and if you don't come prepared, then be okay with missing. That's
don't
okay.
Be an energy vampire.
Like that's okay. If you don't come prepared, be aware of that. Blow up a lot of arrows.
Buy some
still
cheap
have
arrows
fun.
while you're there and just go have fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Oh,
you can buy a lot of arrows there.
I want to go on record here.
Ooh.
If you can't find your arrow in under a minute, move on. That's my, like, the only issue I have at TAC is people that look for their arrows for too long. Like, I understand arrows are expensive. I get it. But if you're backing up 5 groups of 6 people each because you missed the target at 110 yards and you didn't have any business shooting at it, you should have moved up to hit it. Just look for your arrow, like, for a reasonable amount of time. Like, if you can't find an arrow in 30 seconds to 45 seconds, you're not going to find it. Normally. Just move on.
Advocate. Everybody's a little, like, every situation's a little different. Like, we've looked for Garrett's arrows for a while after he's had like a rough day.
But there hasn't been a group behind us normally. Like, I won't do it if a group's behind us.
That's fair.
We will move on.
That's fair. Just be willing to lose some arrows. Most of the time people are cool, but like Joe's not talking about like as soon as you spend a minute and 3 seconds look for it.
Yeah,
he's not coming at you.
Or like, hey,
there's the chronic that like just be aware that there's other people there, and it's that, but it's also people getting grouped up and shooting a lot of arrows. Like,
oh yeah, we had a group get in trouble in front of us. TAC yelled at them.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know. It's sometimes there can be an exceptionally long wait at every target.
Yeah. Be cognizant of.
I don't know if you're going to get rid of that. That's just kind of something that you're going to have to deal with to a certain degree. And like Joe was saying, like there was a group. It was funny because me and Cam were doing my thing where we just randomly got with a different group, and then everybody was talking about this a-hole group that was a couple ahead of us. And I was like, huh, okay. And then we got to an area where you could see 3 groups ahead, and I see them, and I'm like, oh, I know that a-hole. I know that a-hole.
It wasn't us. We weren't the a-hole.
No, it was actually right in front of them,
like
which was hilarious.
In front of me. Yeah.
Because I'm like, I know they're a-holes, but I didn't realize anybody else knew they were.
Yeah, so let's do a pro tip on how to shoot more arrows at TAC. If you can line up 3 to 4 people at a time to shoot, which most shots at the Total Archery Challenge you can.
Do that.
You can get 2 shots off each in the time it would take some groups to shoot 1 shot each, right?
Yeah.
So like if there's a really cool shot and you want to take that second shot, try to line up a couple people together and take that extra shot.
Yeah,
right?
because sometimes it's cool.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets a chance to take a 147-yard shot. So
yeah, or sometimes you're like, man, it's a 147. My tape goes to 130. I think it's going to be here.
Yeah, walking
and
in.
You know, like I hold here, I shoot it. I'm like, oh, I think I need to hold there. So you just take another shot, right? Like within reason. Like no one. And like here's the thing, I sound like a grumpy old prick when I'm complaining about the arrow looking for. I had a situation last year where I had a group in front of me that literally and here's the thing, I think there was 9 of them in the group, which they're not supposed to have. They're supposed to have 6. Then they each shot 1 by 1 by 1 by 1 by 1, and they were tournament shooters. So they range the target, glass the target, range the target, glass the target. They all did it. No one's like, hey, it's 62 yards. They all had to check it with their rangefinders because apparently I don't know what the heck they were doing. And they wouldn't let us pass them.
Make sure you have somebody that can talk people off a ledge in your group too. I had to stop Joe and Cam. Joe, I can see. Cam, I was surprised. They almost fought this one. And Sandy.
Yeah.
They almost fought people. I mean, people do some inconsiderate things.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Like
I mean, if you can tell them something, and they listen, great. Everybody's happy. Yeah. If not, people are gonna do what they do. You know, all you can do is say something.
You can't let it ruin your day, right?
Exactly. That's where I'm getting with that.
I have zero tolerance for people that are inconsiderate to others, and I don't mind telling people that sometimes, which is, it's not the greatest trait in the world.
It's not a bad thing to tell them.
I can't let that ruin my day.
Yeah.
So once my piece is said, how they react is on them. I'm free of it.
And don't be afraid to tell people, because a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, that's a huge point. They've never shot it. This is TAC is their first experience. They don't understand that if they're backing up the world, to be like, hey, that group behind me is 6 that keeps waiting for 20 minutes each time. Hey, you guys want to shoot ahead of us?
Most people don't know those rules.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that. I guess I'm trying to just range etiquette when you're on a 3D course. And, like, most people don't know that you can shoot 2 at a time.
Yeah, and like I'll often let groups of 2 pass us, so that our group of 6 isn't holding anyone up.
Yeah, and it's just have a conversation. Everybody's people. Like what we're talking about is more spirit than it is law. Yes. Like law would be no looking for arrows more than 1 minute, and that's not really what Joe's saying. The spirit of what Joe is saying is,
and here's the thing:
make it better for everybody.
And he misses a target, look for his arrow. Like I'm not saying this, right? Like I'm saying if you're a grown man shooting a $5,000 setup and you lose a $10 arrow, it is not the freaking end of the world.
TAC becomes a better place, or anything, when everybody is actively trying to make it better for the other people that are there. Exactly. Not for themselves. Yes. And that's true for TAC, that's true for IBO, ASA. Yeah. This shop, going to Walmart, everything that you do in life.
Yeah, if you're in a group,
trying to make it better for everybody
else. Getting held up, spot for the group in front of you. That'll help them. Yeah. Right? Like, all right, you're like a low 8, right? Like, call their arrows, or like, oh, dude, you missed. You're right in front of his back foot. Like, because a lot of times, like, if you're an experienced archer, you understand how to glass, you understand how to look for arrows, that kind of stuff, right? Help those people that need that help. And that's like the one thing I do like about shooting when I'm not in my normal group, is getting in a group of like newer shooters and like helping them through the course and like explaining stuff to them. And like, it just makes it a little more fun for the day, right? Like if you can help people, like, I don't know how many D loops we've tied and like things we've tightened on people's bows, and like, you know, like, oh, my breast is sideways or something, you know, like all this little weird stuff happens, right? The
amount of last minute sight tapes we've put on, like, hey, meet us at the campground.
I did it in Tennessee or Indiana last year for a guy.
Just, you know, all that stuff. If you're able to help people, find the people that need help. If you need help, ask, because there's so many people out there that would love to put their hands on your bow and actually help you. That being said, if you don't really know what you're doing, be careful putting your hands on somebody else's bow.
Yeah, I've seen that go bad.
Yeah, a lot, but very often.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess this video could be summed up in.
Well, we're gonna do more about TAC.
Yeah, the hype is real. It's fun.
Worth it.
You don't need to buy any special gear. Everything you have now will work.
Don't be intimidated.
Yeah, don't be intimidated.
Archery is the least intimidating. If you find the group that makes fun of you for being new, for being bad, for being unknowledgeable, you found the one group of the weekend.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever met those guys, people at TAC. Like, just a little bit of inconsiderate, but like at the end of the day, those people didn't know anybody.
Yeah, they're not even trying to hurt you.
Yeah, they're tournament ASA shooters, shooting target bars with stools, and like that's what they do, right? So,
and to a certain point, it's like you can understand everybody's perspective. Don't treat them like an enemy right off the gate.
See, that's where my brain goes immediately, though. And I have to talk myself off.
It's human nature, because if we think about that, okay, one, their group is too big, 9 people. Okay, that probably should have been reduced, but.
We want to hang out with our friends too, so I get it. Right?
Yeah, and if they were to let you guys, they're letting everybody buy, and if and it's just like their mentality might have been, we're going to take forever, it's going to inconvenience people. This is the best way to go about it for us to get the most out of TAC. There's a positive way to look at everybody that's pissing you off that causes you to, and that's the thing, is usually that ends up towards rectifying situations instead of escalating.
Yeah. So what we did is we just slowed down. We talked to the group behind us, merged with them. And we ended up just having fun and making fun of them. It was fun.
it's well worth it.
Yeah.
I'll probably end up going this year,
You're
depending on
freaking
how
going.
money goes, but
Jesus Louise, this will get you there.
it's expensive. It's very expensive to go to TAC for a week. It's very expensive to go to TAC for a weekend.
Yeah. It's worth it.
I mean, we're talking at least $600.
Well, that's because somebody has to buy a sick combiner harness.
If you don't, I mean, what is it for the?
It's like $250.
$250 plus gas plus staying somewhere, and you know, I have good friends that have like cabin or campers and stuff that have been generous enough to let me stay there. So there's ways to save money, but it's expensive no matter what.
Yeah.
The tickets are expensive. Now I will say this: every year, it's not a safe bet. Every year there's people getting rid of their tickets at the very last minute for free or very, very cheap.
Yeah.
Always. It happens every time where I have at least 5 people reach out to me and say, do you know anybody that wants to pay for these? 2 days later, do you know anybody that wants it for free?
Yeah, just take these tickets for free.
Yeah, so keep that in mind too.
Yeah, I had like 4 t-shirts last year because people didn't go.
Yeah, exactly.
That I gave to people.
It happens so often.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely worth going. We hope to see you guys there. We hope you have a good experience there. And we're gonna do some more like TAC prep videos once our Mach 33s come in.
Oh, mine's here. It's ready. Mine's already ready to go.
Yeah, maybe we'll shoot you guys just a little build and show you how
we're
we
gonna
do our
Cam's
setups.
build.
Cam's build, we're definitely gonna get that on there.
Yeah. So if you guys have
Great.
questions about TAC, I will try to answer them in any way I can. If I don't know, I will tell you I don't know. I'm totally okay saying that. You know, like I said, we're East Coast tax. Haven't done the West Coast thing yet, so bear that in mind. But like I said, if you have a question or there's something you want explained, let us know. We'll see what we can do.
Total Archery conversation.
Ooh, Total Archery conversation.
Yeah.
I dig it. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time. Pew, pew. I think that was under an hour.
That sounds fine.
I gotta pee. 47 minutes.